Revealed, the incredible call that changed my life forever, a touching journey of family love and hope. The smell of sizzling bacon and freshly brewed coffee swirled through the air as Sarah flipped pancakes with a sense of determination. Each morning at Mama Sarah's diner felt like a battle against the weight of bills and the trials of being a single mother. The regulars filled the counter, laughter bubbling up like the syrup she served. They were more than customers, they were family. But just as she found warmth in their camaraderie, an unsettling chill crept in, a storm brewing in the distance, much like her teenage son Danny, who seemed to be drifting further away with each passing day. Her phone rang, shattering the morning's comfort. It was Jennifer, a former waitress who had turned her life around. "Sarah, I'm hosting a charity event for local businesses next month. You should come." The words vibrated through Sarah like a jolt of electricity. This was a chance to save her diner, to maybe even thrive. But should she take that leap? Danny needed her. Would going to this event mean leaving him behind? As the morning sun slipped behind dark clouds, lightning flashed. The diner was filling with patrons seeking refuge from the storm raging outside. They gathered, sharing not just food, but stories and hope, creating a bubble of warmth amidst the chaos. Yet, throughout the laughter, tension simmered between Sarah and Danny. He sat hunched in a booth, earbuds in, ignoring the conversations bubbling around him. "Mom, you care more about this place than you do about me," he shouted one evening, fists clenched. Her heart ached, the truth of it hitting hard. Was she that consumed? She struggled to balance her dreams of saving the diner with the growing void widening between them. Just when the storm seemed to subside, an unexpected moment brought everything crashing down. While cleaning Danny's room, she found a letter tucked among his scattered schoolwork. "I wish you'd see me, Mom. I'm here, but you're always busy." The words sliced through her like sharp glass, leaving her breathless with guilt. How had she let her ambition overshadow her love? Tears blurred her vision, a realization dawning she was losing him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The next days were a whirlwind as the storm swept through Maple Grove. The diner transformed into a haven, neighbors helping each other, sharing food, stories, and laughter. But inside, Sarah felt the emotional storm brewing. Danny's resentment ignited, each fight tearing at her heart. She had to choose, pursue the event or focus on her family. As the last remnants of the storm cleared, Sarah stood at the crossroads of her life. Would she chase her dreams and potentially alienate Danny further, or would she choose to embrace what mattered most? With the community rallying around her, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold, teaching her the value of family alongside her quest for success. The question lingered like the scent of fresh coffee in the air. Would she reclaim her bond with Danny before it was too late? As the days passed, the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm glow over Maple Grove. Sarah clenched her hands around a steaming cup of coffee, staring out the diner window as the townsfolk buzzed about, embracing the clearing skies. But inside, a storm still brewed in her heart. She knew keeping the diner alive was important, but the words from Danny's letter haunted her. He was slipping away, and the clock was ticking. One evening, as the diner closed and the last customers trickled out, Sarah found herself alone with her thoughts. The familiar clattering of dishes and hum of the coffee pot faded into silence. She took a deep breath and picked up her phone, her fingers hovering over Jennifer's number. The charity event flashed in her mind, a chance to showcase her diner and build connections. But at what cost? Just then, the door swung open. It was Danny, his expression a mix of anger and hurt. "You're here late again," he said, his voice tight. "Danny, I was just," she began, but he cut her off. "You're always just something, Mom. You never listen." He kicked the floor in frustration, his emotions bubbling over. Listen to what? Sarah asked, feeling the heat of their argument rising. I'm trying to provide for us. You're providing but not being a mom. His eyes glistened with unshed tears. I need you to be here. Not just at the diner. Here, with me. Silence enveloped them like a thick fog. Sarah's heart sank. She took a step closer, next to him, trying to bridge the distance. I love you, Danny. I'm trying my best. Your best isn't enough anymore. He shot back, then stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Her heart broke at the sound, echoing her feelings of helplessness. Tears streamed down her face, and she leaned against the counter, grief swirling within her. The next morning, resolve filled her as she opened the diner. She couldn't ignore her son any longer. With every pancake she flipped and every cup of coffee she poured, her mind raced with thoughts of how to fix things with Danny. This wasn't just about the diner, it was about healing her family. The lunch rush brought customers flocking in, but this time, Sarah took a moment to chat with each one. The laughter, the stories, it filled her with warmth, but only amplified the hollowness in her heart concerning Danny. She caught his reflection in the window, leaning against his skateboard outside, earbuds firmly in place. He looked so distant. As the last customer left, she made her decision. She'd meet with Jennifer, but not just for business. She'd create a plan to involve Danny in the diner. Maybe he needed to feel part of something bigger. Later that night, after a long, grueling shift, Sarah found Danny sitting on the living room floor, scrolling through his phone. She took a chance. Can I sit? He looked up, his eyes wary but curious. She plopped down beside him, a shared silence wrapping around them. Danny, I want us to work together. I can't do this without you, she said softly. What if we turn the diner into something for both of us? I need your help. We can bring in live music nights, game nights, whatever you want. But it has to be a team effort. He hesitated, his expression softening. You mean it? I do. Let us make it ours, she replied, hope sparking anew. Just then, her phone buzzed, and she glanced at the screen. It was a message from Jennifer. I hope you're in for our charity event. Big surprises in store. Sarah smiled uncertainly at Danny, whose gaze was fixed on her, a flicker of brightness returning. But as she looked back at the phone, a knot twisted in her stomach. She wasn't quite sure if she could juggle both the event and her relationship with Danny. The stakes were rising higher than ever. Would this be the turning point, or would it push them even further apart? The very thought left her breathless with anticipation. The next morning, the sun shone brighter than it had in days, casting a golden hue over Maple Grove. Sarah wiped down the counters in the diner, her thoughts still tangled with the events of the previous night. The idea of involving Danny in the diner felt like a lifeline, but deep down, she worried it might not be enough. As the doors swung open, familiar faces of regulars greeted her. With each smile exchanged, she felt the warmth of her community, bolstering her resolve. Yet, in the back of her mind, Danny's anger simmered. She glanced out the window, hoping to catch a glimpse of him, but he was nowhere in sight. Sarah, pancakes today? Helen, an older lady, asked with a twinkle in her eye as she settled into her usual booth. Only the best for you, Helen. Sarah replied, forcing a smile. She poured the batter expertly, the sizzle filling the air. As she flipped the pancakes, a plan began to form. They could create a special event, something different to draw in new faces and reconnect with her son. She could already picture the flyer, family night at the Maple Grove Diner. With live music, games, and activities, it could rekindle that bond they once had. By midday, the diner was bustling. Sarah felt lighter, buoyed by the laughter and chatter around her. Each table was filled with happy faces, and she even shared a few laughs herself. But between fleeting moments of joy, worry crept back in, gnawing at her. Hey, Sarah. Heard about the charity event Jennifer is planning next week. You going? Kevin, one of the diner's regulars, asked as he paid his bill. I might, she replied vaguely, her mind racing. The event could help the diner, but it felt like a looming shadow over her promise to Danny. The rest of the day dragged on until finally, the last customer left. Exhausted but determined, Sarah pulled out her phone. She typed a message to Jennifer, asking to meet. Just as she hit send, the door swung open, and there stood Danny, his stance more relaxed than before. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice steady. "Absolutely," she said, her heart leaping. She invited him to sit at a corner booth, away from the diner's hustle and bustle. "I've been thinking," he said, his fingers traced the patterns of the table. "Maybe we can do something cool together. Like those nights you mentioned?" "Really?" Sarah's voice trembled with surprise. "You'd want to help?" "Why not? It sounds fun. Plus, I don't want to miss out on a chance to hang out more." The weight in his eyes had begun to lift, and she could see a glimpse of the boy she cherished. "Let us brainstorm. We could do anything," she exclaimed, excitement mounting. Just then, her phone buzzed again. Another message from Jennifer this time. It was a picture of a local band that would be playing at the charity event, a calling card for an unexpected opportunity. "Danny, what if we invited that band to perform at our family night? It could be huge." His eyes brightened as he contemplated. "Yeah, and we could set up games in the back." Their words tumbled into plans while hope carved a new path between them. But as they sketched ideas and shared laughter over the diner's sticky tables, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the charity event was drawing closer, a storm cloud. Would the split focus tear them apart, or could it actually bring them closer? As the afternoon light began to fade, she wondered if she could truly manage both her diner's revitalization and her relationship with Danny. The lingering uncertainty gnawed at her, even in the budding moments of connection they shared. "Promise me we won't let this slip again, okay?" he said, sincerity etched on his features. "Promise," she replied, her heart swelling with cautious optimism. Yet as they left the diner together, her phone buzzed once more, and she hesitated to look. Her heart raced with apprehension. What if this was the clarity she'd been waiting for, or another complication? And as she gathered the courage to read the message, she found herself wondering, what news would change everything again? The moment Sarah opened the message, her heart sank. It was from Jennifer, but the content was unexpected. "Can we talk? I have news about the charity event that you need to hear." Some decisions were just made. A knot formed in her stomach. Was this about the diner? Was it about Danny? "Everything okay?" Danny asked, sensing her shift in mood. "Just received a message from Jennifer," she said, forcing a smile. "Nothing to worry about." But the weight of the unknown hung between them like a fog. As they walked through the streets of Maple Grove, Sarah could barely focus on their plans. The joy of researching games and thinking about the possibilities of family night faded in light of her racing mind. She could almost feel the turning of wheels in Jennifer's world. It rarely stopped for anyone. "Mom," Danny interrupted her spiral of thoughts, "can we really make this night something special?" His voice was hopeful, and she couldn't help but smile. "Absolutely. We'll have a whole lineup of games. Maybe a pie-eating contest." "Mr. Thompson would love to judge that," she laughed, conjuring the image of the crust-covered old-timer, his laughter booming through the diner. Danny chuckled, and seeing that light in his eyes filled her heart with warmth. This was what she wanted: to connect, to bond, to share laughter over something simple and joyful. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that she would have to tread carefully around the upcoming developments. "Let us head home and come up with more ideas." As they arrived home, the atmosphere shifted again. The thought of reaching out to Jennifer weighed heavy on her mind. She finally decided to send a quick message, asking to meet at the diner. Sarah wanted to gather information before it spiraled out of control. Once in the comfort of their living room, Danny plopped down on the couch, flipping through a magazine but still looking pensive. "So, what is the deal with the charity event?" Taking a deep breath, Sarah settled beside him. "I'll find out soon. But I'm a little nervous. It could affect how we're running family night." Danny stared intently at her, confusion crossing his face. "Why would it change what we're trying to do?" She hesitated, unsure how much to share about her fears. "Because if the charity event is big, it might take away attention from us. And I fear." She trailed off, her voice barely above a whisper. What if Danny's diner struggle gets lost again? I don't want that to happen. You can't keep worrying about what might happen. We have to work together, not apart. The passion in his words ignited something in Sarah. She knew they needed to be strong together. You're right. We'll be a team. We won't let anything pull us apart, she said, determination rising within her. All in this together, Danny said, his voice lightened. Sarah felt a spark of hope. Maybe this was the moment when everything could shift for them. Just then, her phone buzzed again. This time, the screen lit up with an unknown number. She hesitated but picked up, curiosity piqued. What kind of news could come from another unpredictable source? Hello? She answered cautiously. Is this Sarah? A deep voice asked. Something about his tone felt significant, as if he were speaking directly to her soul. She felt her heart race. Yes, she responded, anxiety shifting into anticipation. Listen, I have something important to discuss with you about the diner. Her breath caught in her throat. Whatever this was, it felt like a crossroads. Would it strengthen her relationship with her son or cast doubt on everything they had worked towards? Her mind raced with possibilities as she clenched the phone tighter. Do you have a moment? This could change everything. The weight of those words hung in the air as the future teetered on a precipice. What was coming next? Would this lead to salvation or chaos? As Sarah braced herself for whatever news was coming, the world around her blurred into the background. All she could hear was the voice on the line, deep yet reassuring. The familiar sounds of the living room, the ticking clock, Danny turning the pages of his magazine faded into nothing. I have a lead on a potential investor, he continued. Someone interested in revitalizing struggling diners. Your diners specifically. Her breath hitched again. This was the news she didn't know she was waiting for but so desperately needed. Who are you? She managed to ask, her voice steady despite the whirlwind swirling inside her. Just someone who sees potential where others don't. It's time for Danny's diner to shine again, time for you and your son to reclaim what's rightfully yours. A warmth filled her chest, like sunlight breaking through a thick fog. She felt that flicker of hope igniting again, brighter this time, as if a candle had been placed in her dark corner of fears. Are you sure? She asked, needing to anchor herself to reality. Absolutely. Let us meet at the diner tomorrow, and I'll explain everything. Tomorrow? The very idea was both thrilling and nerve-wracking. How could she possibly wait? Yes. Can you do that? After a moment's pause, she responded, yes, I'll be there. With that, the call ended, leaving her in a bubble of disbelief. She had been so afraid of losing the diner, losing this little haven that connected her to her late husband. But now, it felt like, just maybe, there was a way forward. Sarah turned to find Danny still on the couch, left to his thoughts. She swallowed hard, needing to share this flicker of hope with him. Danny, you won't believe what just happened. His head snapped up, eyes curious and bright. What is it, Mom? She took a deep breath, the news catching in her throat like a lump of excitement. There's someone interested in helping us investing in the diner. Danny's face lit up like it was July 4th. Really? You mean we might not struggle anymore? Yes. But more than that, we can make the diner what we've always dreamed it could be. Tears pricked at her eyes, half from relief and half from gratitude, but they morphed into a smile. Danny jumped off the couch, his excitement contagious. We can finally do this, Mom. We can bring back family night big time. With games, contests, everything. His enthusiasm made her heart swell. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to dream of possibilities instead of fears. As they shared ideas, the worries about the charity event and any potential shadow it cast over their plans began to drift away like the autumn leaves swirling outside their window. They were a family fighting for their dream, and that dream was starting to feel real, but before Sarah could get too lost in the high of hope, her phone buzzed again. A new message from Jennifer flashed on the screen, this one flashing with urgency. It took only a moment for apprehension to creep back in. Mom, what's wrong? Danny asked, noticing the change. In that instant, Sarah felt the weight of the diner and everything surrounding it return, heavy in her hands. Let us just say I need to talk to Jennifer before we get too far ahead. Danny nodded, his excitement tempered with understanding. I'll always be here, Mom. Whatever it is, we'll get through it together. As she typed out a quick response to Jennifer, a shiver of uncertainty gripped her. What if the news was bad? What if it jeopardized everything? Just as her heart steadied itself, she pressed send, watching the screen glow as she waited. Then, a deep breath. What would tomorrow hold? With hope in one hand and worry in the other, she wasn't sure if it was a step forward or a stumble into uncertainty, but she knew she wouldn't face it alone. Let us plan family night no matter what happens, she said, a firm resolve rising to meet her fears. But would the events of tomorrow unravel their budding dreams or bring them closer together than ever before? As morning light poured through the kitchen window, Sarah felt oddly restless. The news from the night before buzzed through her mind like a relentless bee. For so long, she had made do with scraps of hope, but now there was a promise of a new beginning. She glanced at Danny as he poured himself a bowl of cereal, his youthful spirit shining brightly, untainted by the weight of adult worries. Big day ahead, she said, trying to keep her voice cheerful despite the fluttering unease in her stomach. Danny looked up, his face bursting with enthusiasm. Are we gonna meet the investor today? Can we finally have that family night? The way he said it lit a fire deep within her. Yes, but remember, it's really about stabilizing things first. If this all works out, we'll have all the time in the world to get back to family night, she replied as she crossed her fingers and hoped that wasn't just wishful thinking. She busied herself with making coffee, savoring the aroma. It reminded her of endless mornings spent with David, laughter and chatter filling the diner while they brewed warmth for their patrons. She pushed the thought away, focusing on the brightness Danny radiated. They had to keep moving forward. After breakfast, she glanced at the clock repeatedly. Each tick seemed to echo the uncertainty that weighed heavily in her chest. Just as she started pacing, her phone buzzed again. It was Jennifer, her oldest friend and the one who had encouraged her all along. Meet me at the diner at noon? I need to talk to you, the message read, and Sarah's heart sank a little. What could this be about? But her eyes quickly shifted to the other message flashing on her screen, the one from the mysterious caller. Suddenly, hope flared up again. She did her best to prepare for the diner's potential revival, brainstorming ideas on decor, menu revamps, and even imagining the sounds of laughter filling the air once more. Could it really happen? As the clock struck noon, Sarah and Danny arrived at the diner, the familiar bell jingling as they pushed the door open. The diner felt like a second home, filled with memories, aromas, and the spirit of their past adventures. But today was heavier. Today held answers she desperately needed. Danny darted toward their corner booth, excitement bubbling over. I can't wait to see who it is. Neither can I, Sarah said, her voice trailing into a whisper. Moments later, a figure appeared at the entrance. A tall man with graying hair and kind eyes, wearing an old, well-loved leather jacket. He had a presence that commanded attention. Sarah felt a knot tightening within her, a mix of hope and anxiety. Sarah? He asked, scanning the diner until his gaze met hers. She nodded, feeling suddenly small, but resolute. It's nice to finally meet you, she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. The pleasure is all mine, he responded with a warm smile that seemed to dissolve the apprehension stirring inside her. Shall we sit? As they took their seats, Sarah could feel Danny's curious gaze switching between her and the man, excitement woven into the air like the smell of fresh coffee. Your diner has a unique charm, he began. I believe we can do something special here. But first, I need to understand your vision. Just as Sarah began to explain their dreams, a heavy thud interrupted the moment. The diner door swung open violently, and her heart raced as she turned to see Jennifer standing in the doorway, her face pale. Sarah, we need to talk. It's important, the words echoed in her mind as time slowed, leaving a frigid dread creeping through her veins. What had happened? What now threatened the fragile glimmer of hope that had just begun to shine? Sorry, I'll be right back, Sarah stammered, peeling her eyes away from the stranger, her focus shifting back to her friend. Both the investor and her old life felt like they hung in the balance, ready to tip at any moment. What was Jennifer trying to say? Why did it look like the world had turned upside down again? As she moved towards Jennifer, the questions swirled. But the most pressing whisper shot through her thoughts. Was this a warning or a signal of a new urgency? Everything she longed for could change in the next breath. What could Jennifer say that would make her heart race with fear, just before hope could breathe new life? Sarah. Jennifer's voice sliced through the din of the diner, a sharp cry amid the clinking dishes and the soft chatter of lunchtime conversations. What's wrong? Sarah's voice came out steadier than she felt, but she could see the tremor in Jennifer's hands. I just got off the phone with your landlord. Her words seemed to hang in the air, thick with an unspoken heaviness. Sarah's heart thudded. What about him? Is it the rent? No, it's more serious than that. They're planning to sell the building. You know the diner is part of that too, right? They can give you just 30 days to vacate. The walls of the diner felt like they were closing in on her. The bright colors and happy faces blurred into dark shadows as panic seared through her, each word echoing like a drumbeat in her ears. She fought to keep her composure, glancing over her shoulder at the investor, who was now staring in their direction, concern etched on his features. What do we do? Sarah whispered, feeling the ground beneath her feet shift. Look, I'm really sorry to bring this to you right now, Jennifer said, stepping closer, her voice urgent but quiet. You need to be ready. Make a plan. You can't lose this place. How can we plan when everything is slipping away? Sarah asked, her thoughts racing faster than her heart. Just a moment ago, she was dreaming of possibilities, but now darkness loomed over her, suffocating the light. She looked at Danny, who was still waiting in the booth, his eyes bright and eager, unaware of the storm brewing just outside his world. Sarah, I know you've worked so hard, built dreams from scratch. Jennifer's own voice tightened with emotion. But we need to think fast. Are there other options? Grants? A loan? I'll help you research. The words were like a lifeline, but the water felt too deep to tread. What if we can't find anything in time? This investor, he was supposed to be our chance, Sarah sighed, running a hand through her hair, feeling the weight of despair settling around her shoulders. Maybe he could help us, Jennifer suggested, her eyes brightening. It might be worth asking him if he's interested in investing in the property itself. This diner means something to you both, right? He'd want to know it could keep its charm. Turning back towards the booth, Sarah swallowed the lump in her throat and saw the investor still watching her, curiosity mixing with concern. All right, she breathed, forcing herself to stay calm. Let me tackle this head on. But you need to stay close, okay? I can't handle everything alone. Jennifer nodded earnestly, relief crossing her face. I'm right here for you. Just focus on what you need to do. With determination rooting itself in her heart, Sarah walked back to the booth. The moment was crucial. Facing the stranger who held the key to their future was a different kind of scary, but she had to try. Excuse me, she began, her voice wavering slightly as she caught her breath. I really appreciate your interest in the diner, but I need to talk about something urgent. He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. I promise you, I have my vision, and it's centered around stability for our family. But I just learned something that might affect this whole place. Can I share it with you? All eyes were on her now, Danny's, Jennifer's. As the weight of impending loss threatened to crush her spirit, a flicker of hope remained. Would this investor understand the urgency? Could he be the solution to not just their dreams for the diner, but their life together? The stillness in the air felt heavy, full of questions, and not nearly enough answers. But as she opened her mouth to speak, she realized one truth. Sometimes, the hardest battles came wrapped in the darkest moments, waiting just beneath the surface to be exposed. Could they salvage everything they built, or was it really time to let go? As the diner enveloped them in its familiar warmth, that question hung in the air. Hope flickered weakly against despair, both waiting for the other to take the lead. What would Sarah decide next? Sarah, go ahead, the investor urged gently, leaning forward slightly, his gaze locked onto hers. There was a softness in his expression that gave her a glimmer of hope amid the swirling storm inside her. Taking a deep breath, she felt the weight of her memories grounding her. It's just the diner isn't just a business for us. It's home. It's where our family has spent countless evenings, where we shared laughter, dreams. I just found out that the building is up for sale, and they can kick us out in 30 days. Her voice trembled slightly, the truth spilling out. If I lose this place, I lose everything I've worked for. Everything we've built. She glanced at Danny, who was still oblivious to the gravity of their situation, absorbed in his milkshake. His innocent smile was a bittersweet reminder of what was at stake, not just the diner, but their life together as a family. The investor's expression shifted. I can see how much this means to you, Sarah, he said carefully, his voice measured. Let us discuss ways I might be able to help. Help? The word felt foreign on her tongue, yet desperately needed. Yes, he continued, his tone firm but kind. I was planning to invest in the property itself, but there's always room for negotiation, especially when values are at stake. He glanced around the diner, absorbing the atmosphere. There's something special here. I can feel it. Jennifer's eyes widened, a burst of cautious optimism flashing through her. If you're willing, we could look into grants or supporting funds that could help maintain the integrity of the diner, she interjected, excitement threading her voice. Sarah felt the tiniest spark of hope ignite within her. They were not out of options yet. But what if the sale is inevitable? Sarah asked. Let me help you explore that first, he replied, leaning back into his seat. I know people, connections. If we can present a strong case for keeping this building, it might hold some weight in the negotiations. It felt like a weight had shifted, freeing Sarah just enough for a breath of fresh air. She nodded, her heart racing as the possibilities opened up. Okay, I'll get everything together. Perfect. He smiled. We'll begin good faith negotiations on our side. You just focus on making this diner shine. Show the value it brings to the community, a place of memories and connections, he added, a warmth in his voice that lifted her spirit. Thank you, she said, genuinely moved. It means more than you know. As the conversation shifted to logistics and next steps, Sarah glanced at Jennifer, who held her gaze with steady encouragement. The world outside faded momentarily. Just a little bit of light seeped in through the cracks of uncertainty, and it fueled Sarah's resolve. But then, just as hope started to bloom in her chest, she felt a sharp pang of anxiety. What if this was just a mirage? What if, in the end, they were still dragged down into despair? Can you promise me that you'll stand by us? Sarah ventured, her voice quieter now, the stakes suddenly feeling far more personal and vulnerable. The investor nodded, sincerity etched in every line of his face. You have my word. We'll see this through together. The air felt charged with a mix of uncertainty and potential, shadows of doubt still lurking at the edges. Thanks, I believe in this place, she said, a flicker of determination igniting anew. As the conversation continued, Sarah's heart pulsed with renewed energy, but lurking in the background was a whisper of dread. They had a plan, but the ticking clock reminded her that time was a luxury they didn't have. Would it be enough? What would happen if this investor changed his mind? What if the sale went through anyway? She glanced at Danny, who was still enjoying his shake, the sweet innocence of his laughter grounding her. But now she had a choice: fight for her family, fight for their legacy, and confront the shifting tides of their future. Just then, Jennifer's phone buzzed, pulling their attention momentarily. Who could that be? She wondered aloud, frowning at the screen. Probably just a spam call, Sarah replied absently, but a nagging feeling persisted, rooting her to the spot. What could the message hold? As the diner buzzed around them, Sarah felt the weight of the unknown settle over her once again. Was their future about to be tipped in an unexpected direction? As the soft buzz of Jennifer's phone lingered in the air, Sarah felt a slight tremor in her chest. She could sense the tension growing, a storm of possibilities on the horizon. Jennifer hesitated, glancing at the screen as the message preview flashed. It's from Mrs. Thompson, she said, her brow furrowing. You know, the one who runs the community center? Yeah, I remember her. What does she want? Let me check. Jennifer's fingers danced over the screen, scrolling rapidly. The diner felt eerily still, as if the entire place was holding its breath. Sarah, it looks like she's reaching out about the fundraiser event next month. She could use our diner as the venue. Jennifer's voice climbed as excitement crept in like sun breaking through clouds. A fundraiser? Sarah considered the implications. For what? To help families in trouble, Jennifer explained, her eyes gleaming. She's trying to gather support for families facing eviction and housing issues. It could be a great way to showcase the diner as a community hub. At the same time, it might help us gain credibility in front of the investor. Sarah felt a swell of pride. This could actually be something. A way to rally the community. Exactly. Jennifer's enthusiasm was contagious. We could get everyone involved. Local musicians, bakers, we make it a real event. People will come in droves. As Sarah contemplated the possibility, she glanced at Danny. He was still absorbed in his milkshake, blissfully unaware, but for Sarah, everything was starting to come together. She felt herself moving from despair to determination. Okay, let us do it. But we'll need to notify everyone as soon as possible, Sarah said, her heart racing with renewed purpose. Jennifer nodded, her excitement palpable. We should get moving right away. I'll text Mrs. Thompson back. Let us make this happen, Sarah. The world outside seemed to buzz with potential once more. However, just as hope filled the air, a familiar shadow drifted back into her thoughts. What if organizing the fundraiser wasn't enough? What if, despite their best efforts, they still lost the diner? Wait, while we're at it, Sarah started, fighting back the anxiety creeping in. We should have a plan beyond just this event. If the building goes up for sale, we need to be prepared with everything: our story, community support, financials. We need a strong case ready. The investor nodded from across the table, his demeanor steadying her hastily fluttering heart. You're right, Sarah. If we can show just how much this diner means to the community, we can forge a stronger hold on the negotiations. Okay, she sighed, the tingling anxiety replacing the gust of hope. They needed to hurry. The clock was ticking. Let us split our efforts. I'll start gathering testimonials and stories from our regulars, and you both can begin contacting the local businesses about contributions for the fundraiser. Jennifer grinned. I'm on it. We should make flyers and really get the word out on social media. Just then, Danny broke into their world again. Can I help? Of course, buddy. Sarah replied, ruffling his hair as she swallowed a lump of emotion. Just a small part of her wanted to protect him from the harsh realities just beyond their diner's walls, but she also knew they were fighting for him, their family's legacy. You can help us decorate. Make our diner look inviting and fun for everyone. With renewed energy, they began to brainstorm. Conversations looped around possibilities, laughter floated through the air, and for a moment, the world beyond seemed to fade. But just as they were feeling the energy build, a tension seeped back into the air. Sarah's phone rang, the name flashing on the screen strangling her in uncertainty like a tightening noose. It was the landlord. Oh. Jennifer looked on, her eyes wide. This can't be good. Should I answer it? Sarah glanced at the others, the weight of dread sinking completely into her stomach. Taking a deep breath, she pressed the accept button. Hello? Sarah, the landlord's voice came through, his tone dispassionate. We need to have a discussion about the diner. Each word felt like pins stabbing into her heart, tightening the fear that was waiting to grip her. Just then, as the words hung heavy in the air, the reality of their situation crashed down around her. What news could the landlord have? Would this be the call that sealed her family's fate? Sarah, we need to have a discussion about the diner. The landlord's voice felt like a heavy weight bearing down on her chest, squeezing out every ounce of hope she had built over the last few days. Is it about the sale? She breathed, the words tumbling out before she could gather her thoughts. Yes, he replied, his tone clipped and matter-of-fact. The offers are rolling in, and we need to finalize potential buyers. I wanted to give you a heads up. You have about 30 days to make a decision. The world around her faded into a blur, the bright colors of the diner dimming as her heart raced with panic. She glanced up at Danny, who was still innocent and blissfully unaware, immersed in his dreams of decorations and games for the fundraiser. Is there no way? Sarah nearly choked on her words, fighting against the storm of despair swirling inside her. I need more time. We're in the middle of organizing a fundraiser to help keep this place afloat. Can't you hold off on selling for a bit longer? There's nothing I can do, he replied, his voice firm. I'm sorry. You and your son need to be prepared for what comes next. Thank you for letting me know, she managed, her voice shaky as she hung up. The silence that followed crashed around her like a tidal wave. Her breaths felt shallow, her mind racing, overwhelmed, agitated, and lost in the weight of the inevitable loss. Mom? What did he say? Danny asked, breaking through her daze. He said we have to get ready. They're selling the building soon, Sarah whispered, the words tasting bitter. No sooner had hope danced in front of her than it snatched it away like a cruel trick. Danny's expression transformed, confusion flickering across his face. What do you mean? But our plans? She opened her mouth, but couldn't find the right words. I'm so sorry, Danny. We need to fight for our home, for this diner. We have to do everything together. You mean, like, seriously fight for it? You want to give up? His eyes sparkled with determination, mirroring her own desperate need to not let go. No, we're going to save it, she declared, a fierce resolve building within her. We'll make events even bigger, rallying the community. And I'll speak with the investor. He can help us navigate this. They were in it together, a team bound by love and the dream to keep their family home alive. With renewed energy coursing through her veins, Sarah turned to the others. We need to move fast. The fundraiser is our first step to showcase what this diner means. Jennifer nodded eagerly. Let us plan it big. We'll make sure it gets the attention it deserves. They gathered around a table, fueled by determination and an outpouring of love from a community that had already begun to show its strength. Families rallied together, notifications were sent out, posters designed, and excitement bubbled up in every corner of Maple Grove. The diner that served heartwarming food now became a beacon of hope for many, and with each commitment, the atmosphere grew lighter. As night draped Maple Grove in a shroud of stars, Sarah caught Danny's eye amidst their heavy efforts. She pulled him close, wrapping her arms around him. Together, we can do this. No matter what happens. I believe in us, Mom, Danny replied, a fire of hope ignited in his voice. The countdown began. The day of the fundraiser dawned bright and hopeful. Tension spun thick, but so did laughter and promises. The community gathered, people walking in with smiles wide and hope hanging in the air like fragile balloons. With live music echoing off the diner walls, laughter spilled over every countertop, and the aroma of food wrapped around them like a warm hug. As Sarah stood in the middle of it all, listening to the rhythm of joy surround her, she felt her heart flutter. She caught sight of the investor, mingling among guests. With a deep breath, she moved towards him. Thank you for believing in us, she said earnestly. He smiled, nodding. This diner is more than just a business. It's a community. And that's where real strength lies. Amidst the celebrations, Sarah spotted Danny, engaging with local kids, sharing his infectious energy and enthusiasm. He glanced toward her, eyes bright with love. In that moment, she realized they weren't just fighting for a diner, they were fighting for family, for their future together, for the heart of what it meant to belong. As night crept in, so did positive momentum. Stories echoed, emotions surged, and the diner breathed life again. Sarah felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. They had mobilized a community, reclaimed their dream, and forged a new path together. The ordeal hadn't vanished, but what lay ahead felt lighter. With love and hope fueling each step, and with her family by her side, Sarah knew they would face whatever came with unbreakable spirit. No matter the outcome, they were home together, and in the end, that was all that mattered. The final moment came as Sarah, Danny, and Jennifer stood side by side, looking out at everyone gathered, reassuring smiles lighting up their faces. Hey, everyone! Thank you for being here today, Sarah shouted, her voice rising above the warm hum. We're not just fighting for a diner, but for every shared moment, every laugh, and every dream we build together. This is our community, and together we will thrive. A loud cheer rang out, mingling hope with determination, echoing the sentiment that fueled the night. As laughter spilled into the evening and friendship twinkled in every eye, Sarah understood one vital truth. Only through love could they weather any storm. And in that diner, no matter what the future held, they had created something beautiful. And now, dear friends, it's your turn to step into this community of hope and transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to fuel that algorithm and show your support. It truly makes a difference. And comment your feelings about this incredible transformation. We want to hear from you. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of love and resilience. Support the channel, be part of the family, and let us continue this beautiful journey together.